Hello, you beautiful people. The results are in, and we have quite a few things to talk about. So, we got quite a few responses from our Sadako video, which lets this video be a bit interesting. So, let's go over a bunch of the comments and shit, see what would be a good idea, what wouldn't be, and then we'll make up some change on the spot that uses the best parts of everybody's collective ideas and tweaks Sadako in a way that makes her a little more fun to play as and to play against in all levels of play, because that is something I feel I need to mention, because a good amount of people would either only focus on the high level of play or only focus on the low level of play. We're looking at it as a whole, people, not as one or the other. Also, before we actually get into it, let's just look at the full-scale reworks some people gave us, because while that's not what I was talking about, there were some good ideas in there, and I think either as original characters, or if we did have to just end up fully reworking Sadako, these could be good places to go. Got things like Sadako being able to phase through breakable walls and pallets, breaking them, with her manifest being like sort of a, not manifest, her condemn being like a sort of stacking thing, like a, or so like a doctor, as opposed to like what it is now, to where the more stacks you get, the more like things you see happen to you, like phantom heartbeats, terror radiuses, things like that. We got people who want the condemned to actually be tied to hooks and downing survivors, which, well, a good idea, and I think, and we will touch on that, this idea specifically gave me an idea to how we can sort of help Sadako while pushing her a little more towards getting some hooks instead of just like abandoning them as a whole. This idea is to just completely change it so that condemned and everything is based on hooks and downs and things like that. Like I said, good idea, we'll come back to. And something that I think is actually pretty cool is the way they described it is when you hook somebody, you essentially gain like a power or something, like you gained cursed or whatever the hell. And then when you hit somebody, you condemn them for a lot. And they said that it would probably be maybe AoE. That the person who was hit gets a lot of condemned, but then all the people around them get a little bit of condemned. It's a really cool idea, except, not gonna lie, I think that would cause some very heavy problems, because imagine you just like focus two people, or you just tunnel somebody, and then a second person you're kind of mini tunneling by just hitting them every time with that cursed hit, meaning they get like 7 condemned within like 3 hooks. So by tunneling somebody out, you essentially kill 2 people. Oh no, we'd have to tweak it a little bit, but laying the groundwork for some great shit. We also had this idea where this guy, Foxalot, said that we should make it sort of like a reversal to the unknown, where with the unknown you want to look at the killer to get rid of the power. With Sadako, make it so looking at her gives her more power. Again, really cool idea. Sadly, a big problem with Sadako as it stands right now is that, especially at the higher level, is so much of her power is dictated by survivors and how they approach her power. This would change none of that and probably make it worse, honestly, because people would just do quick glances, barely getting condemned. So while it's a good idea, and I was oh so close to adding something similar to it to her actual like rework towards the end of the video, I don't think it would be the best fit, sadly. But let's get into the changes that the comments that really gave me an idea for what we can do. Starting off with, what if you made it so that when she emerges from a TV, all characters within a certain range of line of sight immediately are injured or at least exposed for a significant amount of time. And now we ain't injuring or exposing people, but this does give me a pretty good idea of what if we changed it so that instead of being a just general amount of condemned you get, what if we make it so if you're like right next to the TV, you gain 2 stacks. If you're further away, you won't. You gain 1 stack or maybe just like half a stack or something. We can go back to that. Interesting idea. But more importantly, I think this ties into a big problem that we see with Sadako, which is the whole like putting tapes in during chase. It's not fun for either side, let's be honest. As a survivor, you don't want to be like, okay, I just have to sacrifice a hook state to make sure I don't die. That's not fun. As a Sadako, when you're fucking working towards getting somebody condemned, you're like, yes, it's finally there, I did it. And then they just walk up to a TV mid-chase, don't give a fuck, put the tape in, and then you down them. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. So I think with this idea, we're going to make it with something where if you get downed with a tape, within a certain range of an active TV, you will get condemned or TVs will turn on, something like that. Now, something that I think isn't touched on pretty much at all is sort of the Wraith style of playing her. Like I said in the last video, we're trying to conserve that. People want to play her that way. They should be allowed to. So this is change that I saw that I think would just... It would benefit both, like, any way you play her, but it would specifically, like, turbo benefit that sort of Wraith, like, hit and run playstyle a lot more, because it would actually make her stealth feasible, since she wouldn't have a lullaby. People, a little collaboration of people saying, well, she isn't haunting enough. Thematically, she doesn't really, it doesn't really work. You know, she just kind of is there. She's not really like haunting you across the map or anything. And then beautiful human collaboration. I like this idea. Maybe you could hear her lullaby constantly once you're above 3 to 4 stacks, which I think is a perfect thing to do. Once you're at, we'll say 4 stacks, you constantly hear her lullaby. Constantly. So you don't know whether she's actually near you, how far she is, if she's in chase with somebody, you don't know. Finally, and I think this all ties together pretty well, is the complaint about TVs and how they work. A lot of people seem to not like, you know, having 2 different states of TVs, so you can only pick up tapes in one. Or for the Sadako player, like, getting rid of these tapes doesn't do anything unless you have the ring drawing add-on, and there's no real way to turn on your TV as Sadako. There's nothing you can really do. So this person is saying you could bring back her original Eerie tape, which I looked it up. I don't think I'm wrong, but that should be the one where once you demanifest, I think you have to teleport and then hit somebody, but once you teleport and hit somebody, a bunch of TVs will turn on. I think that's a bit too strong. But an alternative would be, what if we made it so Sadako actually wants to fully chase people with tapes, not just give up on them? To that extent, I think we should make it so we keep it similar to as it is, where the tape gets destroyed when you get hooked. to actually incentivize hooking people at least a little bit. And then we make it so that a sort of mini version of the ring drawing is applied base kit. So when you get hooked with a tape, the TV that tape came from turns back on instantly, and the person with the tape gains 1 stack of condemned. Now, specifically, you keep it as being hooked, because if we switch it to being downed or being hit, and that destroys the tape, then if that condemns you, she'll just be able to instantly more you, whereas with this, you now have to be unhooked. You would have to either dedicate time to camping or risk losing you once you're unhooked. Sort of a risk-reward thing. Alright. So we've looked over a bunch of changes. What would the definitive change to Sadako be? Number 1. One of her biggest problems, especially with newer players, is what I'm just dubbing TV economy. As one of the most difficult parts as Survivor going against Sadako is managing the TVs. Because something a lot of people don't realize is that if you just go around turning off every single TV, you're going to fuck over your teammates, because the Sadako is going to be teleporting around, he's going to be building up condemned, and then, oh no, your Steve, your little baby Steve over here, oh, he has 4 stacks of condemned, but not a single goddamn TV is on, so he can't do anything about it. He's just stuck with 4 stacks. And then when a TV does come on, the Sadako's probably gonna teleport to it, and Steve's fucked. Okay? We don't want Steve situations. So we're gonna change it so that you can now take tapes out of inactive TVs. Now these tapes work a little differently. Active tapes get rid of the, 3 stacks, 4 stacks of condemned, but they make you go to the farthest TV away. When you pick up an inactive tape, what you're doing is you are taking away 10 seconds from the cooldown of a TV that you took it from. So if it's at 20 seconds, it goes down to 10 seconds. But in return, you not only get a tape from an inactive TV, so you're not in a lose-lose situation, but the TV you have to put that tape in is one of the closer TVs. It picks one of the 3 closest TVs. You have to go to that one. Now in return for a very short trip, it's only going to take away 1 or 2 stacks of condemned. But this makes it so you can't really soft lock your teammate, makes it so the Sadako can't do that to people. And it makes it so even newer players can still, see TVs, go up to them, and pick up a tape without TV auras just appearing, disappearing. They have no idea what's going on. It would make it much more consistent for the newer players, while giving more access to players all around to play around different parts of the kit. Now, that's a huge nerf to Sadako. While it does decrease the cooldown duration of that TV turning on, it's still just straight up a nerf, which we don't really need. So let's talk about some ways we might buffer. For one, we talked about the tape situation. When a survivor has a tape, you can destroy it by hooking them. Doing so will turn on the TV that tape came from if it's off, and it will also add 1 stack of condemned to the hooked person. Now, you might have to rework the ring drawing add-on, because whenever you hook somebody with a tape, giving every single person a stack of condemned, kinda strong. But I think that's a small price to pay for a change that actually makes downing people with tapes a lot more incentivized than it is right now. Now, these are small changes, But that's kind of the point. We don't want to fully rework Sadako. We want her to feel the same. So another change that we're going to do is that lullaby change. When you're at 3 stacks, we'll say 3. I said 4, we're changing it. 3 stacks. Once you get to 3 stacks of Condemned, you will constantly hear the Onryo's lullaby playing. No matter where you are, no matter what's happening, you will hear it. Now, if you go below 3 stacks, it'll obviously go away. If the stacks get locked in, well, tough shit, you got a lullaby for the rest of the game. But this is a way to give her a little more stealth potential without making her like unbearable. There's still ways to play around it. You can still avoid it. You can still get rid of it. There's still things you can do, but give her a little bit of actual stealth potential instead of giving survivors a 20-year warning when she is within fucking 3 square miles. The last change we will be making to Sadako. We are going to make it so if you put if you get downed with a tape within 4 meters of a TV, the tape will be destroyed upon being downed. And the same things will apply. Why? Why do this? Because there needs to be sort of what the fuck's the word? There needs to be an incentive to avoid TVs when you're being chased. Pretty much. Is the gist of it. You don't want people to be going towards TVs. That's counterintuitive. And I've seen that with a lot of newer players playing as and against Sadako. You see a lot of people avoiding TVs at all costs because that's what you would imagine you want to do. But it's really not. So make this little change so that the intuitive feeling of let me avoid the killer's power is actually rewarded for these players. And that's the gist of it. That is the Sadako rework we were able to come up with. It wasn't the biggest thing. Although, then again, there's not much big things you can do without really pushing the character to its limits and either making them god awful or way too strong. So hopefully with these changes, people think that it would be more fun to go against, more fun to play as. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. As I put everybody's like full comments up there. There was something you saw in the comments that you read, that you saw in the comments on screen that you read, that you feel would work better than something that I decided to put in, or maybe there's something I didn't mention that you think should be put in. As always, leave it in the comments below. I love reading them. I love interacting with you guys. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate the growth we're doing, and I will appreciate any more support you guys give me. If you could drop a like, maybe subscribe or share my videos with somebody that you think would like them. With that all being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, guys.